Hello everyone, it is Marjoram of Sage and Marjoram back with another video. Today we are looking at some of my work for the knitting study group on lace mastery at the School of Sweet Georgia. So this is the hat that I've just finished. This is the Tulsi Tok, and I think that it came out pretty well. This is the inside of the hat. I'm just showing, I wove in my ends and you can't even see where they were. I followed a tutorial on how to weave those in a little bit differently than I normally would. And I even have trouble finding, just looking at it flat, trying to find where I did my join. You can see my ribbing here is not the cleanest, and that's because I ended up doing a plain rib instead of a twisted rib. For whatever reason, I just started going. I was working off of note cards rather than the pattern because I thought it would be easier to just flip note cards when I need to change rows, things like that. And I didn't write down that it was supposed to be knit through the back loop. I was just doing regular knit purl. Here's my join, I found it. It's not the cleanest, and that is because I joined after I started knitting. So I knit the first 5 rows flat, and then I joined in the round. I was having trouble doing my join on my circular needles because I am a fairly tight knitter, and I just couldn't get the join to come across well. So I decided to follow an old technique where you knit a couple of rows and then you join later on. And that worked for me. It worked out pretty well. You just leave a tail and then sew it up at the end of the project. And I think that it came out fairly well. When you're wearing it, you can't even tell, but definitely you can find it if you're looking for it. So the lace pattern, I think, came out pretty well. I still haven't blocked this because I don't have the right materials for blocking. I'm trying to figure out what exactly I'm going to do. But I knit this to look somewhat like a traditional African hat. These are like West African hats. I believe they're called kufis. I used to wear these a lot in college. For those of you who don't know, probably most of you, I am a bald human. And so I sometimes like to cover my head when it gets cold. But I don't look very good in slouchy beanies, so I decided to make this that would fit me well. And I think it came out really well. I just tried to do the crown shaping a little earlier, and I think it came out pretty well. This is such a stretchy lace, as you can see. And even with this super sturdy yarn, it still stretches pretty well and conforms to my head in a way that I like. There's one section, and you can see here, I definitely think I messed up, and I'm pretty sure it was the yarn overs, as you can see there. But I was consistent in messing up, so at least the lace still looks like it was something that was supposed to happen. But I did about 3 repeats before I got to the red. I did another repeat in red, and you can see, I think that for the most part, I've got that section. There's like, if you look at the pattern, there's like a section where it almost looks like a cable. Just one like swirling pattern of flat stitches going up, and it came out pretty well. The crown shaping, I think, came out pretty well as well. I thought about, you know, continuing the pattern and then cinching it, kind of how you do hats on a knitting machine, because I like that look, but I thought again that would be too slouchy for me. So I did go ahead and do the crown shaping in the pattern, and I think it came out pretty nicely. I'm very happy with this hat. I'm very happy with the pattern. I feel like I learned a lot working on this pattern. I chose this pattern specifically because of the fact that every row had lace, and I would constantly be working these different stitches and getting them into my hands, and also just to see if I could work through the pattern, because I was working on other needles on a pattern that was 1 row of lace and then 3 rows of purl knit purl. So I wanted to do something a little bit more challenging for myself and do something that was entirely lace. And I'm fairly happy with it. I think I'll be even happier once I do block it. I'm just waiting to get some blocking supplies in. I decided that I wanted to do this the entire way through the right way. And then I'll probably steam block this. This is a wool merino, a merino wool and a silk mix. So it will not block too much, but I think that I can manipulate it enough that it will come out looking exactly how I want it to. Yeah. So this project is now completely done for me, except for the blocking, which I will do at the end of the course when I block my other project. But what I'm doing now is working on moving towards the next section of the course. We are in track B right now. It began last Thursday. And so this is a little swatch that I worked up. It's really not that impressive of a swatch. It's just, for me, I just wanted to see what I was doing. And so I decided to work up a swatch of just 2 repeats of different types of stitches. So let me grab, I actually have a little form for myself where I wrote down what I was working on. Okay, so you see I did a little list of what I wanted to work on. So first of all, there is a knit 2 together and then yarn over. It's almost hard to see, and that's kind of what I wanted to see, if I could get it to the point where these could become almost invisible unless you're looking for them. Because I'm thinking about like future patterns, how I could do them. So I have a left leaning knit 2 together and then a yarn over after a knit stitch in between. And then I just repeated that halfway down. I did another knit 2 together and then a yarn over. And this is a cotton yarn, by the way. I just wanted to see, since I was working pretty stiff merino silk mix, I wanted to see how it felt in cotton, which is also stiff. And then for the next round, we're working from the other direction because it was purl. I did a purl 2 together, which is still left leaning, and then a yarn over. And then I did that once more after just some regular stockinette in between. And that was actually because I hadn't done any of the wrong side rows of lace. So in this week's course, or I guess last week at this point, in the course materials, there were links to how to do these other wrong side lace stitches. And so I thought I would try those out to see how close I could get them to the right side stitches that I did when I was working in the round. Okay, next up I did a SSK and make one. I really don't think that I like make ones. I don't know if I'm doing them correctly. I'm following the tutorials, but I don't know if they're looking the way they're supposed to. But I tried. So I don't know that I will use those in my pattern when I create my lace shawl. So what I did here is I did an SSK. Sorry, I'm out of frame. Let me get this so that you all can actually see what I'm talking about. Okay. So I did an SSK. And then I did a make one, which made a smaller hole, but it made a hole nonetheless. And then I did another SSK right there. And then a make one, which I don't know why. I did something wrong here. You can see my holes are not even in the make ones. So I have work to do on those. But then working from the next one, I did SSP and then a purl one. But on this side, I did it on the edge on accident. I just started going. And that was interesting to see how you can get kind of a diagonal change, just a slight angle change by doing a decrease on the edge. So it actually ended up being a nice little learning moment for me. And those were also make ones after the SSPs. I don't think that I like make ones at all. My holes were just not looking very good whatsoever. So I will need to continue practicing those. But this was just a quick swatch in the middle of the day. I have gone back to work, for those of you who don't know. So now I'm knitting on lunch breaks and then also all evening. Here I did a center double decrease. I think that we are calling them SSKPs, I believe. Sorry, I had to think through it. It's a slip, slip, knit one, and then you pass over. And then I just did a yarn over, and then I also did a knit front back because I removed 2 stitches when I did the SSKP. So to try to even back out, I did 2 increases. So the knit front back, I don't even know if you can really tell where I did it, but I'm not 100% sure that I did it correctly either. I guess it is a good thing that I can't really tell where I did it. So maybe that means I did it right, because it blends in with all the other stitches and I didn't get anything twisted or anything messed up like that. Okay, so now I'm thinking about yarn choices. That's one of the things we are doing this week for our own projects that are coming up in track B. And so I chose some Noro Kureon, which is a Japanese yarn. This is minimally processed and hand dyed. And I've had this yarn for like 2 years. Each one of these had a sister skein or multiple sister skeins, and I've just been holding on to it, trying to figure out what to do with it next. So I think that I want to use these. I think I might have one more skein somewhere else, but these are really old. They've just been sitting in my yarn box for so long because I didn't know what to do with them. I bought them in multiples so that I would have matching dye lots. And then I just didn't need these last skeins in those projects that I wove back then. But I'm trying to find a way, and I think that I can, a way that I can use all of these different colors together to get some interesting gradient transitions. You can kind of see, I'll try to open these up a little bit. You can kind of see that I have a bunch of different colors in each one of these. And there's a color that can bridge the gap between all of them, depending on, the order. And I'm trying to see if there's some way that I can, get one to end in green and then move to the green from the next one. And then that one ends in this kind of purpley blue. And maybe I can have that transition to the purple blue on the outside of this one, which then ends in neutrals and then go to this neutral. So that's like what I'm thinking, but I'm not 100% sure, because if you know Noro yarn, sometimes there is a color hidden very, very deep in the center. So I might have to, cut and join, do a couple of color changes, which is nothing. That won't be too difficult. But that's what I'm thinking. So we will see. I'm excited to see what we're going to be working on tomorrow in the knitting study group. I need to actually post this video there after I finish editing this update. I'll be posting this over in the forums at the School of Sweet Georgia. I highly recommend it. Is like work at your own pace. So if you haven't started and you're still interested, I highly recommend it. There's also a lace along happening with Sweet Georgia. The cast on was the 4th of April. So there's still time if you are interested in, knitting along with other folks working on your own lace projects. And I think that's it. I will see you all sometime soon. I'm still working on my weaving projects as well. I just want to get these out. I like getting out these updates while I'm working in the study groups. I think it's really interesting to share, and then also to see what other folks are thinking, and to hear other folks' thoughts on what I'm thinking about as well. Okay, I will see you all sometime soon, and I hope you all have a great week. Bye-bye.